everybody. Welcome back to Narc Shield. My name is Jennifer, and I am super happy to be here with you guys tonight. And so I'm hoping to get at least one video out, maybe two. I have been reading your comments. Thank you so much to those of you who do comment on a regular basis. I really do enjoy reading your comments, and I do try to get back to you, or at least heart you and let you know that I'm happy that you're there and that I am reading your comments. So thank you so much. It's super fun. And some of them, are upsetting because, I'm caring about you and I'm worrying about you. And there is one of my commenters right now who I deeply have on my heart. And so I'm going to talk about that a little bit here in just a few seconds. But I just wanted to say, if you have not subscribed to my channel, please hit the subscribe button. Also hit the bell and you'll get alerts to when I have new videos that pop up, and then you can join me. I'd love to get more subscribers. I know there's more things that I can do to get my videos out there, and so I'm gonna need to work on that. I'm maybe gonna have to take a vacation or something and work on that a little bit, but I'm asking you guys to subscribe and maybe share my videos, because what I would like is when I get 1,000 subscribers, I'll be able to go live, and then I can actually talk to you guys live. And so I hope that you'll help me with that. I really would like to be able to do that with you guys, especially you guys, you're commenting to me, and just think about it. We could just actually be commenting and talking together live. So I'm hoping for that soon in the near future. So thank you so much for being here. If you've never been here before, welcome. I'm super happy to have you here. I am a narcissistic abuse survivor, and I do come here to support you and other people and just let you know that you're not alone. There are many channels here on YouTube that are fantastic, that give lots of great information on what narcissistic personality disorder is and the relationship dynamic that they have with codependents and empaths. And so I am just someone who gives a little bit of information from my own background, but I am not a psychologist. I cannot diagnose anyone with NPD or any other personality disorder, but I can recognize traits. And that's what we want. We want to be able to recognize the red flags so that when we are back out there dating or going back into a new career and working with new people or making new friends in a new circle, that type of thing, or hanging out with family members that we've known forever and we weren't really sure what was going on, but now we know and recognize that some of those things were emotional abuse. Now we recognize it and we can handle things in a different way. And so, and then if a narcissistic person happens to come to my channel, maybe even get some information and know that there are things that even the narcissist can do to get mindfulness and be able to help with their interpersonal relationships. And I know that many narcissists would like to be able to, don't understand sometimes why they're not getting along with everybody, and I get it, like it's everybody else's fault, and but I'm here to support the people who actually are or have been in relationships with narcissists. And sometimes on this channel, I will talk about darker things from being in relationships with narcissists. And sometimes they're going to be, just the normal annoyances. But tonight I wanted to, I said I was going to talk about, mention one of my commenters, and I wanted to let you know that I do read your comments, and I did check in with you, and thank you so much for responding. I hope you don't think that I was ignoring you. I wanted to make sure that I did this video and commented back to you through the video. And I do understand when we see the narcissist and we ask them to come back. So you were letting me know that, and you were kind of beating yourself up a little bit. Please don't do that. I've done this before, and many of us have asked the narcissist to take us back. Sometimes it's after we've been gaslit and they make us feel like everything is our fault, or have said a lot of bad things or alienated us and isolated us enough from people that we feel really alone, or they've done something where we need them. And then other times it's because we're going through our cognitive dissonance and we are fighting with the good things and then the bad things, and our mind, it hurts too much to think about the bad things, so we want to stay in the good area where we are putting them back on a pedestal again and wanting to go back. And I do understand that. Also, the trauma bond, you have lots of cortisol and the bad stuff gets dumped into you when you I say kind of like ripped away from your narcissist, and they've moved on or appears to move on and that kind of thing, and you're left by yourself. And so all this is dumped in you, and you just want to feel better, and you miss them. And so you feel like they can help you, and if you can just get back with them, that you'll feel better. And then all that good dopamine gets dumped back into your body, and it feels good for a minute, but it's not long, and then that cortisol's dumped back in. So I mentioned that a lot, and I do think that I will always mention the trauma bond. And so it is really important, if you feel like you are dealing with a true narcissist, someone who's abusing you, to go no contact, zero. Because a true narcissist will anytime that you contact them or ask them back or beg them, cry, yell at them, anything, it's fuel for them, it's power for them, and it makes them feel very much in control. And you could continue to get the very treatment that you don't want can continue to happen because they know that it works. And so you have to make some serious decisions at some point. And I do understand. So don't beat yourself up. Today is a new day. It's a new day. And I know it's hard for you. I, one time, wanted someone back like this. It was a very toxic relationship. And it was one I was very much invested in. And I showed up and was like, please, come home. I will do whatever I need to do. I was almost willing to make the slate clean again. Let's just go home. Let's work this out. I'm willing to do that. Just, will you please come home? And in that moment, that person was like, okay. But what they did was they went right behind my back after that and made fun of me, and went to the person that they were with at that time, because they had basically jumped into a relationship with someone or been in it before. And that person called and teased me and told me how pathetic I was and how they thought I was pathetic. And to be honest with you, I was like, yeah, it's pretty pathetic. I was feeling like I was pathetic, and so I was being called all kinds of names, and really all I wanted to do was make this very significant relationship work. I truly wanted it to work, and I had invested a lot into that relationship and was willing to do hard work to make that relationship work. Unfortunately, we cannot control other people, and this person was not willing to do that. They pretended and kind of used the fact that I had those feelings for them. They exploited that against me, and so whenever they needed it, it was great for them, and it made them feel good. It made them feel good while I was feeling terrible. And so, yes, it does make you feel pathetic, but you're not. You're caring. You're loving. You're full of hope. You feel like you can fix it because we're fixers. And we're willing to forgive. And we're willing to do a lot of things, like let people cross our boundaries, right? But that doesn't make you feel good either. It does not make you feel good either. And so I know that you're hurting right now, but you will get through this. I promise you. And you will look back on this, as I continue to say, and you will think, wow, what in the world was I even thinking? And when you get to that point, they may actually want you back, and you may not want them back at that point. Once you move on, you may not want them back ever again. So I just want you to know that I did see your comment, and I want you to know that I do care about you. I'm sorry that you're feeling bad. I'm not trying to make light of it. I know it feels bad. It took me a really long time to heal, and I've had several relationships in my lifetime. I'm pretty up there in age. So I've had several relationships in my lifetime that I really did care about these people, and I wanted to make it work and was willing to do so many things to make it work. And we kind of throw pride out the door. And we're willing to do all the work, but they're not. And that's our answer. It's like, they're not willing to do anything. They want it to all be, and some want you to just come back and say it's all my fault. And we do that. We do that. But that's not true, and that's not okay. It doesn't mean that we haven't contributed in some ways, as because we've let people cross our boundaries. We've done too much for the narcissist or the toxic people in our relationships. It takes two people to make that dynamic work. But do not blame yourself. You are here to heal at this point and get all the information that you absolutely can. But I'm going to tell you right now, you've got to pay attention to the trauma bond, and you need to go no contact if you can possibly go no contact. If you're going through a divorce with someone, if you are in a custody battle with someone, you can do everything through email, and I highly, highly recommend doing everything through email and only talking about what you need to talk about. Do not try to talk about the relationship or anything else. And so so that is things that I continue to repeat. Also, I just wanted to say thank you to all the other commenters as well. I love seeing your comments. They are very insightful. I like when you share other instances that you've been through, or things that may have resonated as well as something that I may have told a story about. I like it when you do that, because that's us supporting each other and feeling like, okay, somebody else went through it too. So I said that sometimes I'm going to talk about some of the darker sides of being with someone who is narcissistic, and it's not always comfortable for me. And I also know that some people have a hard time and get triggered. I get it, because I get triggered. I actually just saw something that triggered me, and I may actually bring that. Maybe I should start on that as I go into my thing. So we get triggered sometimes. You can take a break from the video if it's triggering for you. Cut it off. When you are in a different place, you can come back and maybe watch it later, or not. That's okay. I do understand, because I get triggered a lot. And I do watch a lot of things on toxic relationships, because I talk on it, and it's healing for me in a lot of ways, because I can see where I've gotten, and I can see places where I need to work on things. So as I said, I am someone who is recovering from codependency and major codependency from my entire life, and it takes it's mindfulness. I mean, it's not easy for any of us to heal, and so do not beat yourself up when you have a bad day. And if you're beating yourself up, I'm going to give you a hug right now and let you know, air hug, that I care about you, and just comment, message me if you can, and hopefully in time we'll be able to even talk live a little bit about it. So I actually got triggered recently because I was watching Oprah Winfrey's YouTube channel, and I saw a show that she had done with this lady who had been in a physically and emotionally abusive relationship, and it triggered me back to when I was much younger, and I was in a relationship with someone who was physically and emotionally abusive to me. Now, in telling some of my stories about this particular relationship, I do want to say that this particular person did reach out to me as I was a grown adult many years later, and did apologize to me, and I did accept their apology and wanted them, I was afraid that they were having a hard time moving on with some things, and I felt like if that was going to help release them and get them into some help for themselves, to forgive themselves, that I was okay with doing that. So I have forgiven this person for the abuse that happened. But I am going to talk about it on this channel, and I don't even think they're watching my channel, but if they are, then, this is my story, so I'm going to share it. But I watched, I always get, my nose is always like running when, look, I have a mask, look, I have my mask, I'm going to use it to, I'm always doing this, guys. I bet you guys get so sick of me doing that. So I'm sorry, but guess what? My nose runs sometimes. It's allergies. I have allergies all the time. And I wonder sometimes if I'm allergic to my cat. I have a cat. So, okay, let's get back on topic. So I watched this video about this woman, and she was abused. She was emotionally abused by this guy for, like, I don't know, probably 18 years before he started to physically abuse her. And when he started to physically abuse her, he was also doing it in front of the children, and he was gaslighting the children, and he was turning the children against her and make it so she was feeling completely isolated from family, friends, even her own children. It was very hard to watch this video because I resonated with it in so many ways. And part of the way that I resonated with her is when she was being physically abused. I can remember, now I could see her, she was trying, people were saying to her, well, why would you stay? Why would you stay with someone like that? What were you thinking about when you were standing there? Why didn't you do anything? And her answer was, I was trying to survive it. Her mind went into survival mode, and she was explaining it so perfectly, in my opinion, how she was like, I was running through my mind, and I was saying, what will be the perfect thing to say? What will make him not hit me? What will make him be not mad at me anymore? What can I do to change this? I'm afraid if I say this, he'll hit me. I'm afraid if I say that, he'll hit me. I don't know why he's hitting me. I don't know why he's so mad. So basically, she had gone in to, her son had come down and asked for something to eat, or she had asked him, I think he had asked her, but anyway, for some lunch or something. And so she had fixed him a sandwich. And when she described this, I was like, holy wow, I cannot wait to talk about this on the channel. She walked upstairs so the son was with the father. And so she walked upstairs, and as she walked upstairs, and I can relate to this so much, and I bet you guys can too. As she walked upstairs and went to give the sandwich to the son, it was like this light bulb went off, and she was like, I didn't bring another sandwich up. And what if he wants a sandwich? The husband. And if I ask him if he wants a sandwich, is he going to be mad at me? Because the assumption should be that you should know, right? A narcissist is going to be like, you should know what I want and when I want, whether I want a sandwich or whether I don't, but you really don't. And the narcissist needs to be first. And I think she second guessed herself as soon as she got there, but it was too late. Like, she had already brought the sandwich for the son. And so she gave the sandwich to the son. And then I think she did ask, would you like me to make you a sandwich? And he called her stupid, dumb, whatever, idiot. How could you say these things? Why would you do this? Why would you start crap with me? And he started to beat her. And so everybody else will be like, well, I don't understand why I beat you. And yeah, it doesn't make any sense. And even for her, and she's, please don't be. And she's standing there silently. And she's just standing there. And he has the son videoing and calling her names. But it was her standing there, her stance, and how small she felt, and how she just came into her body, was afraid to even look up at him, and had to submit to him, and not knowing what was going to set him off next to make him hit her again. It was so triggering for me. I understood it because I once was in a relationship like that. And it is very difficult to see that, but it reminded me of that time. And even though, and it put me back in that space where it was as if I were her. And this guy, it was like he could not help himself. He realized how much power he had over her, and he needed to have it in that moment for whatever was going on with him. And he just kept on. And I think even having the videotape and his son, kind of there and even saying some things, gave him even more power. And she needed to get out, and she did. Because here's the thing, if you're getting beaten by someone, you could get killed. And people can snap and accidentally kill you. And this is something that she was saying, that she was like, I was worried, and I knew that he might not mean to kill me, but that he might accidentally kill me, because he couldn't, when he was in that powerful rageful, he can't stop himself. He's feeling that power. It's that surge that he needs, and he might accidentally kill. And I do believe that this happens. Even when we talk about horrible things that go on today, in today's times, when we see even the police doing things, I'm like, I know even H.G. Tudor did a article that you may want to look at that talks about that, is this power trip that just takes over that person. And the next thing you know, somebody dies. And so, you see shows like Snapped, and this is, what it comes, things like this can happen. And what got me is just remembering how small she felt. And this was a big guy. And, I remember when the person that used to beat me, sometimes I never saw it coming. Like, it would just come out of nowhere. And I remember people being around. And there was a couple of times where this person literally picked me up and body slammed me to the pavement outside of a vehicle. And their friends would be, and they were supposed to be my friends too, would just, they would be, I don't know what they might have, their facial expressions might have been, but I know that I would hit the ground. And I can remember times where it would be like this zingy kind of feel in my neck, and I would see like stars and things like that. And sometimes this person would just start kicking me and kicking me and kicking me over and over, and they would always go for my ribs. And I've told a story before, I believe it was on my podcast station, about, I don't even know if I told it, but where they threw me out one time. I'm not going to go through the whole thing because we're at 24 minutes, but maybe another time where they threw me out naked. I literally had no clothing somewhere, and had kicked me and kicked me and kicked me and cracked ribs and thrown me out for other people to see, and I had to scammer and beg for people to help me and let me in and help me. I could go on and on and on with different stories of where I was beaten. And I remember my parents being like just dumbfounded by the fact that I would go back to this person. But this person had really worked hard on brainwashing me. I don't know that they knew that that's what they were doing, but I was so bad that they wanted power over me, and they would say things to me like if I was sitting next to them, I couldn't do anything unless they told me I could do it. I couldn't talk. If you talk, punishment would happen. Do not speak. If I even tried to speak, it was like, and I would quiet, and I would get in that small position like that girl got. Eat, sleep, you know. I've had that person a couple of times threw everything I owned out. One time they were in a dumpster, everything I owned in a dumpster, and eventually did take me back to the dumpster and expected me to get all of my things out of the dumpster. And I remember when I did, they were in the car, and then like went and partied with a friend one night and just threw them out onto like a main street as a joke and thought it was really funny, you know. But this was way back, way back. And I have forgiven this person, but that is still part of my story. It's part of our story. And hopefully this person, you know, no longer does anything like that. And I know that when they came to me, they shed a lot of tears when they apologized. But sometimes, I'm not calling this person a narcissist, but because I don't know. I mean, I cannot diagnose him, but those were narcissistic things that he did, and they were traits. And you know, sometimes narcissists, they apologize because they have their own needs, and it didn't matter to me. I wanted this person to be able to heal if they needed to. It was many years later, and I still do forgive them. So when I tell this story, but it still affected me, and it still affects me today. It doesn't change that. It still affects me today. And so I have been triggered before. I have actually seen people getting abused before and gone out and tried to stop that because it's just, I know what it feels like to be that person who has been being. I have had heirlooms that were very precious to me from family broken. If I said anything, if I made them mad, they knew it would bother me, and they would break it. I've been blamed for things. I've been chased down, grabbed by my hair, pulled, beaten in my face. I have had black and blue bruises all over me, where my parents were freaking out, where doctors were freaking out. Again, I've had my ribs cracked, and it changed me. And even back then, I can remember it making me like an angry person for a while too. And so I had a lot of things that I needed to work through, and I needed to move and get completely away. And it took me some years to do that. But eventually I knew I needed to, or I was going to die. I felt like I was going to die. So if you are someone who is in an emotionally abusive relationship, it can escalate sometimes to domestic violence. And I think emotional abuse is horrible. It is one of the most horrible things I've ever been through. But domestic violence, you can actually die. You can die with emotional abuse too, because that person somebody like me who's been in emotional abuse for a really long time may feel like they're completely worthless, and there are many people who take their lives. And so we need to take it seriously, and we need to get out. And I know it's hard to get out. And I know that sometimes we feel sorry for our abusers because we know that they've been abused too, and we want to help them. We think that we are the people that can fix them. And I see that kind of as a narcissistic trait too. You know, it's like we think we can be the ones who do it. And maybe it's because we resonate with them and we've been through our own pain in our life. I do think there's a lot there that has to do with that. But we can't fix someone. They have to want to fix themselves. They have to want to acknowledge the things that they do, and where they may have picked them up from, and why, and who it was that they really are angry with. Because they will project onto you, like this man who was abusing this woman, and I saw it. It was on video where he was beating her. And he was projecting everything onto her. Everything that came out of his mouth was a projection. It was unbelievable. And unbelievable that he wanted it on video so that he could look back on it to see her reactions and not see his own. He did go to prison. He went to prison for 36 years. And so it's a lot more that goes to that story, but he went to prison for 36 years. And because it wasn't so much for that video, it was more because of there was a timeline. And one of her co-workers who could recognize that she was being abused and was different was keeping notes in her calendar. And even this person who was the victim didn't know that for a really long time. And when it came time and she eventually did talk to her, and eventually she did help her, and they had code words and things like that, and she would check up on her. But eventually it was because of those notes that helped put this guy in prison for 36 years. And the only thing that the guy will cop to and admit is that he did those things in the video, and that's because he can't refute those. They're on video, but everything else he has denied, but he's in prison. And so think about what it's done psychologically to her and her children. And she feels so much guilt because of what the children endured. We feel a lot of guilt. We are people that feel a lot of guilt for many reasons, and we need to work on those things and heal ourselves. And listen, healing is not something that happens overnight. It takes time. It can take a lifetime to just continue to do the work. And so it's no quick fixes. But there are people like myself who love you and care about you and want you to know that you don't deserve to be emotionally abused. You don't deserve to be kicked. You don't deserve to be hit in any way. We also can become reactive abusers during that, when we're trying to defend ourselves and take up for ourselves, and we start to get sick of it. It's not healthy. None of it's healthy. And so I hope that you will do everything you can to get out. And when you do things that make you feel pathetic, like asking them back and hoping that they'll say yes and that kind of thing, that you don't beat yourself up too much. It's okay. We've all done it. Well, I don't know that all of us have done it, but I can say many of us have been in those shoes and understand why that you would do that. We understand. Normal people are not going to understand that, and you're not going to be able to get that sympathy from people who don't understand. They just don't have all the information, and that's why we're out here giving it. So I have been through physical abuse before. I will be talking about that more on this channel. I've said before that some of my stories will be shared. I have a really hard time doing that, but there's a little bit there. So just let you know that I have been there. And there are shelters that you can go to. Find a place, make a plan before you leave. Have a plan so that the abuser can't get you back and abuse you more. Call the hotlines. Get out there. Get the help that you need. Tell people that you trust that you are being abused, and have those code words so that if they call, the narcissist won't know that you, or the abuser won't know that you're talking about them, because they are keen. They know. They are listening to your conversations. I used to have someone, they literally would be on the phone just listening to me have these conversations about them, about the abuse. And then sometimes they would like chime in and say things. And I would be like, oh my gosh, I just got busted, you know, because I was, you know, thinking I was having a private conversation. And they're very aware that they are doing things wrong, but they can't live in the shame of it, and they have to blame other people. So thank you so much for commenting. I do appreciate you commenting. I do appreciate you being here, and I hope you appreciate the fact that I really do care about you, and I want you to be okay. So to my commenter who is still having a really hard time, and to the rest of you that really are as well, I pray for you to have peace in your life, and soon.